I hope not.
So. Can everybody hear us, online? Just, okay, thank you. All right, Stacy, please call the roll.
Mr. Albrecht. Aslo.
Here.
Day. Gurecki. Scarano.
Here.
Mornzak.
Here.
Bono.
Here.
We have a forum.
Thank you. Can I read our mission statement? please?
Yes, I would like, to, Mr. Chairman. The Herkimer County Industrial Development Agency delivers economic incentives to business and industry to diversify and strengthen Herkimer County's tax base and enhance community vitality by supporting job creation, business and industrial development, and community revitalization. We strive to develop the local economy in an organized, sustainable, and environmentally beneficial manner.
Item number 4 is the minutes. They were sent to you for the September 27th. 2022 regular board meeting. Are there any changes, corrections, deletions, additions, et cetera? Hearing none, I need a motion to accept. Dan, second by John. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay. Carried. Item 5 is our September financial reports. They're on pages 6 through 13 in the packet. Financial report, balance sheet, check register, status, the fee mortgage, and the pilot report are all included there. John, did you want to make mention of any?
Sure, we're on track to achieve all of our numbers. You can see by the budget, we're pretty close to where we are, and what we budgeted for. Yeah, everybody's caught up to date on their loans. There's nothing outstanding. We are for the land in Dollarville, we'll have the money in the attorney's account this week. And I think that's about it. I mean, everything else is on track.
All right, very good. Any discussion on that? I need a motion. To approve, Mike, second by John Scott. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay. Carried. All right, we should have made a modification to our 2023 budget. That's on page 14. John, did you want to?
Sure, I just, we had some changes in insurance, and so we needed to modify the budget. You can see the changes on there. Just because we also do it in August. It's very difficult to have a lot of good numbers in August for a budget that's next year, but we do our best, so I'm just asking to support that, and we would like to.
Just further note, we did, we didn't go in front of the legislature budget meeting the other day, but it was approved, tentatively approved our budget.
I don't understand what tentatively means, Chairman.
So we vote on, final vote on the budget. It changes to be just like.
And how are those changes? The board, would the legislature would go in and make the changes to it?
Questions we would ask, bring it back in.
Okay.
But the idea didn't have to go in this year, so it was just pretty much a cost. So just for now.
The Paris,
That's a different.
that's separate, okay.
So.
You're talking about health insurance?
That was a major part of it.
Yeah, and the payroll.
That was a major, those
Yeah.
changes.
Did I get a motion? on this one? I did a motion, Dan, second by Alana. Any discussion? Put the call the roll, please.
Albrecht. Aslo.
Yes.
Day. Gurecki. Scarano.
Yes.
Mornzak.
Yes.
Bono.
Yes. Item number 7, 6-year-old.
6 year. Oh, it seems.
6-year ABO budget, pages 15 and 16.
This is almost as bad as turning our budget in. The speculation and for 6 years, the state requires it though. We just increased some of the numbers by 5 or 10%. And put it out there and modify every year as we go. So there's really nothing that's, it's just another requirement. It bears no weight.
With that, we'll do the motion, please. Second, Jan Serrano, second. Mike, any discussion? All in favor, I'm sorry, clerk, call the roll.
Albrecht, Basil,
Yes.
Day, Director.
Yes.
Morano,
Yes.
Warren Zach.
Yep.
And Bowman.
Yes. All right, item number 8, small business loan grant funds, that's for review of the first of CARES Act and Victoria.
So we'll start with the CARES update. So I have been continuing to work with businesses that are interested in applying. We have had 2 businesses that I've made to the next step of connecting with the Mohawk Valley Small Business Development Center for them to assist in creating the use of CARES summary, which will be required as part of any successful application. John and I have been communicating with our community developer and community renewal. And we've actually been able to expand some of the eligibility criteria on that, not to include more tangible, non-tangible items such as insurance, rent, utilities, mortgage, and payroll costs, which is a huge deal for some of these small businesses. So to be able to go back and look at some of their payroll costs is a big deal. So hopefully that will help us get some of these applications through to the next step and we can start extending some of these funds.
Go ahead, John. No,
When you say payroll costs, does that mean like outside service to do the payroll?
So if they did the payroll through like paychecks, it wouldn't pay for the service itself, but any funds that were paid to the employees. So their insurance costs, if they had like unemployment insurance or the payroll
Not the
itself,
process.
not the process.
what we've seen with this money, John, CARES, the grant, it's evolving constantly because they want to get rid of
Yeah.
it. They don't want us to give it back. They want, and they have so much more that they haven't even allocated yet. So we're going to keep doing the best that we can. Working with the Small Business Development Center has helped us really expand on that too. We had a good conversation with them too, and they said, look, this doesn't fit this way. We need to find out if it fits this way. So that's what we're. But the problem is, and we are going to have to ask for an extension because look, how many months since June? We only got the finished documents sent in a month and a half ago, so we're behind the 8 ball on it. So, but we've talked to them, and I'm sure they'll work with us too if they want.
Is that what?
Yes,
So how far behind are we on that?
about 3.5 months probably.
What's the likelihood of the extension?
Only right now because they have so much money, it's probably okay. But as we get closer, they won't take anything now. We talked to them, that we have to wait till like 2 months before the end of the program, which will be in April, before we can ask.
What is the deadline now?
June 23rd.
So how much of the so-called money is in our pocket?
How much can we spend of it? Like 400?
425,000.
Of the 500?
Yes, there is.
That has to just be dispensed a certain period of time?
That has to be concurrently with the money that we get. So we can't just apply for all of that right now. And we might not get it all if we don't spend it all. However, we will get a huge black eye.
Well, if you don't spend it all, the next day you want something back.
Well, it's gonna be difficult. We have a very good relationship with Housing and Community Renewal, as we talked about at a previous meeting. We were their first site visit in, well, almost 3 years. So we were excited about that. They're great to work with. We did lose a person there that we had a very good relationship. But behold, she showed up at another place that we needed her and, no, there's a different one.
Oh.
Yep, and so we're very excited about that. We can talk about that a little bit too later. But yeah, that worked out really well for us.
So for the next grant that we get, do you think internally the review of it would go quicker
For through this HCR.
through attorney?
I hope that no, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. It's especially through HCR, because we keep asking them, can't we apply directly? Which I wish we could. Not saying our attorney is much better. Nobody's paying attention. No, I mean, it's just the process, and he really know. I mean, no, it's just a process, and we keep saying it's a process, so hopefully, but no, I don't think it'll go much faster.
On the, there's any more? Okay, future too.
Sure. As John stated earlier, all the businesses are paying accordingly. But at this time, there is just over $1,000 in the account. So I could support a small application if someone were interested in applying for maybe a 500 grant, 500 loan, and at least 500 of their own funds. We could support that at this time.
We never asked Tony before, but Tony, is there any way that you think we could contribute more money to that fund? Maybe we'll send you a little outline of it so you can take a look. I'm not looking for an answer right
I
now.
couldn't give you one.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar enough with it, yes.
It's just, it was money we received from Butler and Seward, but Empire State has to review it too. It's kind of funky that way. But we utilized it a ton. So we should probably send that over to Tony. So maybe there is a way that, I know we're not allowed to get grants or loans, but where else we could possibly find some money to do that. And the other thing we are gonna definitely have an issue with is, if we wanted to go after another micro enterprise grant right now, we couldn't do that because of the CARES money. So we wouldn't want to do that. And that has a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot of different distinction to it than the CARES money. And so I'm worried about that too, because we really did well with that $200,000 grant. But I don't think that would jeopardize any of our other ones like the studies we've done. So, and helping support businesses with the 15,000 per employee, that money, not CARES, but it's CDBG.
For economic development.
Yeah, I don't think we'd be in trouble with that.
So if you know anyone, a small one.
Well, it's not a loan, it's a grant. Well, the 222, I'm sorry, yeah, 500. But still, that's a nice thing to get somebody going or a filler for somebody.
That is all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, Ms.
I'm concerned. It could be.
That's spooky for Halloween.
I'm scared already.
Every day, John, every day.
So all of the pictures in the background are from Dave Warner. He did a bunch of fall pictures of parties. So, but we recently did boosting on LinkedIn for the CARES grant. So we have, that's updated now, but so originally before the boosting, we had only like 64 impressions, but afterwards there's 22,128. So, I mean, it's reaching a lot more people. And we like specified it to developers. And
Not for that one. The developers, I thought we did on the 15. Or is that what that is?
yep. That's
Oh,
about
I'm
it.
sorry.
No, I misspoke.
Okay, yeah, so the 15 acre before, we really didn't get a lot of hits, but we could focus in, and that was very good what Aaron did. So it's allowing more developers to see that part.
We also just started sending out a questionnaire to different businesses that we've helped to try and do like it's supposed to be like a weekly social media post. We haven't heard anything back yet. I think I reached out to 2 or 3 different people. Just asking like if there's anything else we can help them with or like what our impact was on their business.
When we do our grant, or when we do any type of assistance with these businesses, as part of our application, they sign off that say we can market them. We were just looking for some updates on it, just to keep relevant with what they're doing and how we can better support some of the business.
I mentioned this at the last meeting, but we got this new QR code package thing. So you can make as many QR codes as you want with unlimited scans. So this is the one I used when we went to see Senator Schumer. If you scan it, it takes you to it's the property page on the website, schedule. Yeah, I have more with flag pins if anyone wants.
And it goes to the video too. So it was kind of neat that we were there and in the background was the picture of the actual site. But I like the idea of that.
Have you ever track how many people? do that around?
I think it says it on the website. I'll have to double check, but I'm pretty sure it does. Yeah, and then this is just a couple pictures from when we went to see Senator Schumer.
It was white or cream pants day. I don't know if it was. That was on the memo when it went out. Yeah, well, it's not white, it's off-white. I'm sorry, I read the rules. Well, Schumer told me that. But one of the wild things is like Schumer sends, his guy, Joe Nyman, and their people call you 2 days ahead of time and say, are you free on this day? And you go, okay. And then you go, what time? And they go, we'll get back to you. And then it just, nothing happens in advance. Like Mr. Bono and myself are invited to this thing in Micron down out in Syracuse, the big chip facility that they're doing. And on Sunday or Saturday, we received emails, two, like not long after each other. Are you available? We're going to send out an invitation for Thursday. Well, it's Tuesday and we have nothing yet. But Biden's supposed to come. And if we don't have time to really talk to the people there to see what we can do as a fill-in, I don't think maybe we won't attend. I'm not sure yet. But we are hoping that this helps us as well, which we know it will. But, just to go listen to him, that's great. However, we need to do things that help attract more to our region. But it's interesting how these politics, and Schumer was nice, no politics. It was all, what can we do? And told stories of his grandfather that lived around here and everything. His father.
Yeah.
And it was nice. It was good to have him there. Plus, we had a lot of locals that were good for him to see. And Ilion had their police and fire department there, so it made it. One other thing Aaron is working on for us too, though, is the removal of the barns at the Russell Farm. So we've gotten some leeway or some headway with a couple of places, and we should be able to report on that for the next meeting. We just don't think it's right to put some of the older wood in landfills. We think it'd be a good idea for them to repurpose that. And we did get the okay from Parks Rec and Historic Preservation that we can tear the house down. But if we find anything historic, we're gonna have to think that. But it's a contract. So it'll be exciting to get those things down and moving and stuff. So,
Who determines if it's historic?
this group called New York State Parks Recreation and Historic Preservation. And they do a Google search, John, and decide that it's the best. And I'm like, how can you tell from a Google search? But they do, and there was a lot of back and forth. Remember on that site, we also had to carbon date some rocks. So, which I found interesting. Yeah, it's crazy.
Ken
All right,
Burke
thanks,
was
Aaron.
like in that barn, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
He did, yeah.
Twice.
With Mrs. Herman, I believe.
All right,
Well,
item
once
10,
again.
Harbor Point Energy Products is property acquisition. Transfer, whatever. John, you want to give us the speech?
The 411. So the owners of Harbor Point reached out to us a couple weeks back and said that they had an opportunity to sell their business. It since has closed. They did not do anything with this property, so we do want to acquire it back. It was 15,000 an acre, so it's 2.8 acres or maybe less we charged. I don't know, it was $30,000 we charged them for it. And then with the taxes, so I would like to purchase the prop. He did other stuff on the property too, and I said, I'm sorry, that's your investment. You didn't do anything with it. And he wanted to sell it to the new people. I said, no, you can't make money off of selling the property when you just paid cash for it. And you have done nothing on it in 2.5 years you've owned it. So I would like to work with Attorney Halleck to send them out a notification that we want the property back and we're going to pay whatever I don't think we should do the special district taxes, but just the normal property taxes. I don't know, because I I think that's part of everything else that he's invested in it, is the other stuff from the cleanup and everything. So I feel it's important that we help him that way, because he didn't do anything to develop the property per se.
I don't know if I agree with you.
Would we ask for those?
Yes, he also asked for the money that he used to have it cleaned up, which was about 38,000, something like that. The 282.8 acres, it was all overgrown and everything, and now it's all washed down, trees and all of that.
Do you
So
have, do you anticipate resistance?
from,
Or have you spoke to him
Yeah.
already about this? and
Yes.
He's negotiated it, right?
well, he's coming back and he wanted the other, and I said no, and I said, well, I could talk to my board about providing him with the back with the taxes. And the property, he does have to sell us back at the price that he did.
Well, it's borderline, John, because we have an option. We sold it to him. We reserved an option to buy it back at that price 5 years ago. That was his risk. And it's the same, with the engineering firm, we did the same deal a couple of years
Too,
ago.
but we didn't, that was different.
It's the same principle. We reserve, and actually, I think we raised this question in another one, buying property, that here's the instance, why would I pay $1,000 more if he's got a binding agreement for me to buy it back at 30? It's a business decision. I understand your reasoning, but from my perspective, we already have a binding contract.
Or we set a precedent?
I don't believe we are. Usually when property is sold, I mean, he had plans, he showed me plans on what he was gonna do on the site. He actually had the village approval as well for it. It just couldn't catch up to having it done. Remember, he came in with a check the next day to buy it. I mean, he wanted it quick because he was gonna do stuff and then, with everything else going on at the time. But, that's, once again, it is a board decision. If you want Mr. Halleck just to reply back and not pay that additional, I don't believe it's illegal. I believe we can pay the property what we want. We can pay over the appraisal rate, so I don't think it's illegal, but I'm not an attorney. However, whatever way that you guys want to go, you are the board.
So you're looking at which number?
I'm looking at 30 plus 87.43 minus the special district, I guess.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that we pay that, but whatever that works out to be. So 38.5.
Mhm.
So that would be my recommendation for that property. And however, this is negotiations too. Should we wait and do this in executive session? Attorney,
It could be done and discussed in executive.
let's,
session.
if it's okay with the board.
We'll wait on that.
You know where he had it closed?
Pardon?
You know where he had it
He closed last week,
He closed on the sale of the business.
minus
Not
this.
closed. He sold the business.
Yes.
Got it, okay, yeah.
To quite a large firm too.
Yeah.
But I believe he's, what? No, you first.
I just think, what you can say, you buy this property on speculation and.
Let's discuss it
Oh,
then.
yeah, let's discuss that. Okay, we'll
Move that.
move that. All right, let's go to 11, leading edge awards. Yeah.
So would like to sponsor the $2,500 level, the bronze. The night of the event is November 7th. We've sent out to everybody who wanted to attend. Ann is going already. Myself and Mr. Bono and Mr. Albrecht are going. We would gladly drive everybody up and back. We feel it's important for a couple reasons. One is that Enchanted Forest Water Safari, where the fun never stops, will be one of the awardees. And then also the Hinch Group, which we're working on several projects with him and his partners, and it would be great PR for us too. And we're already on the media things. 2,500 is within my purview to move it ahead anyways. However, I just think it's important that we support it all as a board. Does anybody else have, I mean, we've sent out the emails. Does anybody else have a desire to attend that night? And like I said, we would gladly pick any of you up here and bring you back at some point. I can't guarantee you what time. Last time we got how much, 3 in the morning? Was it? So,
Yeah,
well, you're at the casino. There's no lights. You can't see outside.
I think that 500,000 ESV grant was also very, very helpful.
we need a action on this.
Yeah, we'd like a motion. Why not? Since we're here.
We've done the 25, we've done that.
I don't think for the leading edge. I think we did less the last time, but now that we have, you know, you want to kind of, he asked us to be like a gold sponsor and I said, no, thank you. So
2,500 for, any questions?
for the leading edge.
Motion, please. Mike,
Why
second
not?
by,
We can.
second by. Alana. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Carried. John?
Does anyone else want to go from the board? Going once, going twice? Okay, we're good.
Item 12, the menu strategies with market demand analysis. And John Wilson.
This is something that we've been looking at for many years. And another individual within the county, Mr. Wallace, has always had this thought that this community could really use some kind of venue like this for not only sports, but for attraction, for conferences and other things. The gentleman, we met Venue Strategies through a big project that they're working on in Watertown. We're actually working with Mike Sherman, the former Green Bay Packer coach and general manager. They're buying or they got a piece of property up there right off of Route 3, just outside of Watertown, where they're building quite a large facility that's going to support hockey, basketball, soccer, a gym, all kinds of things up in that area. And what these guys will do at Venue Strategies, they're from Buffalo and New York City. They'll come in and do a study on what do we need, where it might possibly go. Not everything can go in Herkimer, you know, where else would it might fit? Where the overflow might happen from the new Nexus Center. What do we have for basketball, floor hockey? Mr. Bone has been approached a million times about indoor floor hockey. Do we need ice too? What would be some of the benefits? Where are some avenues for money? They told me back in the day, they talked to Ron Williams, the president of college, and the numbers they came up with, he felt as though every student that came here for sports brought 1.75 other students with them because their friends or somebody else they knew would come here because they were coming to school here. And you see how good the program is up there for sports, how many more attractions we could have with that. Now, whether it's multiple basketball courts or one, or maybe the venue can do, he also referenced how, and guys interject as you were all on the call too, if you remember anything different, but he also talked about concerts and that type of thing, because now a lot of the larger bands are doing smaller venues because they don't want to be in with the hundreds of thousands of people anymore. You see that a lot at that is it St. Joseph's Amphitheater in Syracuse? I can't think of the name of it right now. Yeah. Yeah, so this study will be for that twofold. It'll take a few months. They'll interview a lot of people. They'll look at a lot of research. But I think when you really look at what we have between here in Albany and here in Syracuse and Watertown and South, we do have a good opportunity to, and there's no ice time in Syracuse. There's no indoor sports time. I mean, our dome closed. That's going to be a warehouse for a furniture company going in Frankfurt. Another dome, I think, closed in Utica or Oneida County. So this we think, and not saying we'll move ahead with anything like any of our other studies, but we do have the money set aside for things like this. And Mr. Albrecht is definitely in favor of it from what all he's seen in the sports world. So it's up to you all whether you want to move ahead.
I know you said we've been talking about this for years. Is there anything recent that came up that made you say we really need a feasibility study?
Sitting on my deck at camp and reading about Watertown, looking with Mike Sherman and reading that article and saying, you know, our region is on the thruway, closer to more population. you would think that we're primed for something like this if it can happen up in Watertown.
So other movement and.
Yeah, not anything particular with this area, but right, Jimmy, how long have we been talking to Mr. Wallace about it too? He's had thoughts because of, the heritage of sports in our communities and just bringing more here, so that opportunity is there.
So we have an idea about properties, potential properties that we may use in the county.
We really don't, Mike. I mean, there's 400 acres behind the college. There's other properties, we might be able to do some things, but they'll look at all of that too, We can't guarantee that, he'll do maybe down near Manheim off of the Little Falls through there. Maybe up, it could be just about anywhere really, because we're not gonna just draw on Herkimer County.
Right.
But when you think about it, there's no ice up north, hockey seems to be still holding very strong. There'll definitely be overflow because once the Nexus Center gets going, you're gonna see more events at that and the Odd. It's gonna limit the kids' times playing at the Odd too. So, however, it might not be ice hockey too, you have to look at everything.
Well, talk about potential sites. I mean, Skylar is one area where we do have accessible land and it's close to the population center Utica.
Yeah.
And it does benefit her.
I'm sure, yeah. Go with it.
Not in the business park, but other places.
Well, yeah.
28 months.
Yeah,
It's all contingent on that connectivity too. They want, interstates and all that. They look at all that. They'll look at all
could we take over those softball fields in Ilion? I know, how would that disrupt what's going on there and what
No,
could happen?
yeah, if you got something that could benefit, you get more softball.
Yeah. And all of those type of things, where,
You need space.
yeah, well, and parking and everything else. But I was impressed with these guys because they didn't push, they just talked. And you guys were on the call too. They know their stuff and that's what they do. So I was impressed with them.
So for $35,000. You can do this study. What's the flavor of it?
Is it worth getting other proposals just for comparison? Or you just feel strongly about them?
I just know that I found a couple others that were not dedicated to this group, to doing just these type of venues. So if we get another consultant in here, like the one we did for the food processing, they're dedicated to food. Is there 3 other ones we talked to? Yes, but are they dedicated to it? These guys are dedicated to the venue side of things. So that was the impression that I thought would move us ahead the best way towards it. And they're not, and what's nice too, is they work with a lot of developers too. So if there is an opportunity, they'll make that a connection like they did up in Watertown with Mike Sherman, and I know we won't get Mike Sherman. It bothers me in Victoria for Packer fans, but that's the same.
We're doing really well this season.
Yeah, we are. We're gonna lose to the Bills this Sunday too.
We will.
So,
Is this who, they use at the more?
yes, they've used in Watertown, they've used all over the state.
Usability. Appreciate it.
Well, but the thing is, when you get somebody that's not used to doing what we're looking for, they'll do it. I mean, we could go and hire some of the other ones we're even working with now, but it's not their specialty. And in my opinion, it would be like, okay, yeah, we'll get that study, but how real is it? Where I feel as though these guys' reputation depends on.
Do you feel as though Mr. Wallace, obviously, the legislature kind of behind, besides us, do you think the legislature would be?
Absolutely. If it's a viable project and it has a good return on investment, absolutely. We've been talking about this venues. We would support something like this year, absolutely.
Just having the right data behind it.
Yeah. Without that, with a lot of speculation in the past, there's been a guy who wants to do something downtown, but
Do it.
maybe it doesn't fit downtown too. These guys will say, are you crazy? Where are they parking? How are you getting traffic down there? Makes no sense. Or behind the college, well, you got that one route there, they can come from this other way. It's okay, but we would recommend the baseball fields are really better. 5S, boom, 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 or maybe not. I don't know.
We used to work with the college too. They have a great sports program and facilities up there, so we could
how about having even though they're esports and they play them from everywhere, they still all like to get together, those guys and gals, and play in one area, having the esports championship here in one year, or something like that. And we don't know a size yet, maybe 15,000 is perfect, maybe it's too big for our area. You know, maybe the floors, look, guys, don't do hockey, the cost is way too high, doesn't make sense. Or floor hockey's growing like, or what's that, pickleball? You better put in 40 courts, because that thing's going out of style right now. But, you know. But we have to listen, these guys know what they're doing.
Okay, so it's,
Do you know how soon you start?
I think you could start in November, we had some team members that could start.
And it says it's about.
Yeah, but he's not gonna, and we had another conversation after too, in the same way with the area. Because I was a little concerned that he was only doing 60 miles, and he said, no, we would look towards Syracuse, Albany, because 60 miles still gets you Schenectady, still gets you that way, but we want to make sure maybe even Troy's looked at, Saratoga, up north a little closer to Binghamton, just so we know, because right now, when you look at youth sports like football or any of these other ones, Mike, how far are they traveling?
Buffalo, you're going.
In high school, that's who they're only playing yet, you know, 8-man, where are they going? They're going all over the place. So,
questions. Yeah, I need a motion to, go ahead. Yeah, second. Alana, any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Michael, can I just say one more thing?
I guess you're not.
I'm sorry. The only thing that I could see, if this got developed outside of, it really wouldn't be developed by the IDA. It would probably have to go to an LDC or a CRC like it's done in other areas, like in Rochester, when we built baseball stadiums and things like that, but that would be further down the road. So, but just without the data, it doesn't make sense to do anything. However, we do know of other facilities that have been built with no data. And it just got through, but they got a lot of state money, so they didn't do it.
Item 13, housing development opportunities, pages 23 and 24. There's a letter there from Steve.
I was hoping that Tony could reference, talk about that.
Okay, Tony, what?
Well, the background, as I was asked by John, is to the legality of the entity, the public housing corporation, developing low-income housing in the city of Little Falls and getting the benefit of sales tax exemption, mortgage tax exemption, and pilot payments by bypassing the Industrial Development Agency and working directly with the city. And there are provisions under the New York housing law that recognize that a legally formed housing development corporation under the not-for-profit corporation law has all those abilities to do that. So the city would have the ability to enter into its own pilot and distribute the monies. It's a separate section of the financing law. It runs parallel with the general municipal law for industrial development agencies. There's a little nuance to it in that it has to be, there are a lot of boxes they have to check with the Secretary of State's office. But it also allows, the statute's kind of vague, some incremental use of the low income property. And I believe it has to be on the same site for some commercial operation. We can't find any decisional case law on what incidental is. So I suggested to John in this letter that much like in Herkimer, we've got apartment buildings above, if there was retail space below or something incidental to that main building that served the tenants, that would probably fall within the purview. I think the concern, John, you expressed is this takes us out of the low income housing business in theory,
For the city,
for the city.
which is fine, but they're able to do sales tax abatement as well there, right?
Yes,
So but I don't think for mortgage recording tax too or not.
yes.
Okay, so
So
they
do
can,
everything we can do.
yeah, and, and would we ever really go and have a discussion with them that saying we don't want you to do that, or that we are the agency for that? I don't think so. I think it's good that at least, they see a need in their community and they're gonna fill it with a few other options in that area that they wanna do it. We believe this is part of the DRI as well, so if that can help them move forward with that. in my opinion only, and it's all up to you, you know, how we would like to move ahead. We don't have to do anything, actually. However, you know, if we wanted to contest anything that they were putting in that structure, we could, but I don't think that's a smart move either. I think it's, however, you know, just to support them verbally and say good luck with them. I don't think we need to push back at this time. We were unaware of that rule until after a meeting we had with Tony. So now that we're aware of it, in my opinion, Jimmy, maybe you have something different thoughts on it. I'd say we just continue and move on. But I think our board needed to know that, yes, the city can do it, but it's low income housing. It's section 8. No, the village, right? They can't do it, just the city, right, Tony?
Where the statute's there.
When you say low income section, what's the level that they can make?
I don't think, I think it's 100% subsidized.
It's supposed to be 100.
So what I'm saying, to qualify for low income, is 20,000 a year, 30,000 a year?
I can't answer that question, John.
I think this is elder section info too. I don't think it's families or anything. But once again, you know, the way that businesses and these groups that run these, they run a very nice place too.
Absolutely.
Like what we did with Nathan Valinsky. I mean, that's entirely elderly section 8 and it looks beautiful and they keep updating. So, you know, and your Main Street has different, you know, and your community has different thoughts on what should be there and how it should move it ahead. So, I mean, that's up to you all. But, you know, in the community wise, when those projects get brought forward. But for us to fight it, I don't think it's
John, you gotta consider not every area has an industrial development. So there's a purpose for housing trust fund. And the city, if Little Falls moves forward, they gotta be careful what they wish for because I know how much administrative work these ladies do.
Would Little Falls River Renewal be involved in it?
I don't know.
Could they? You know.
Is there how big is that department? One person?
17 hours a week, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe he would, I don't know.
I'm just curious if they could be a partner in that, when we work with them. That would drag it down.
You know, and Tony brings up a good point about the administration side. However, there is a private business involved in it too. And they would probably handle a lot of that for the community, even though it has to flow through the community.
Did they communicate those two or you found out through the BRI?
We went to a meeting and we had a discussion and they said that how they were doing it. I said, I'm honest, I have no idea about this program, so let me find out, right, Jimmy? We were kind of like, oh, okay. And, you know, we don't get in a contest right there because I don't have all the data, but now we do, and God bless you, move on with it.
And this is like a house.
Yes, definitely. Nathan Valinsky Apartments.
Maybe Glynn's doing it on tax roll, back in tax roll, workforce housing.
It's not workforce housing.
Right.
This won't either, but they'll be paying some taxes too. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There'll be a pilot in place for so many years and they'll pay all the taxing jurisdictions as well. School, city, and do they pay town taxes? No, only county, right? Does the city of Little Falls pay town taxes? No. So just this county. So yeah.
We got 3, that's enough.
So far.
So.
Any other questions? All right, let's move on to, that's FYI. So let's move on to item 14, solar leasing, the something just 25.
I once again want to refer to our attorney, Anthony Hallett on this.
Well, I don't know how much I can say on this. The question was posed to me because we've got some land. It's otherwise not usable. Can we lease it? And short answer is yes. And with the legal legislation, we can lease property.
And how do we pay the taxes?
We would have to by contract because the property itself is tax exempt. Enter into pilot, create a pilot, and on the solar facility.
And have the solar facility pay the taxes. Yeah. So in Schuyler, when you go into the park, which you've all been, behind Schuyler Wood Pellet, and when you go down to the cul-de-sac, your first right is down the new road, your second right would be into Fountainhead. There is no third right, but that right would most likely take you up into that hill area where it's all trees and not good trees either. And the developers looked at that and said, would we be interested in leasing that property out for solar development? And we think it's a good idea to at least move ahead with that and take a look at that. I think we voted on that the last time, right? To move ahead and take a look at it. So I have not heard back from the developer since. So I'm assuming that, you know, we said, yeah, we'd be interested. So now he has to follow the process with National Grid and then Certa and everybody else. So. But no land lease agreement right now. I don't know if he's been up to the property and looked around. I don't know, if we didn't survey anything for him. I don't know if he's been up there, but if he had, he would have reached out because we need insurance and stuff.
There's a lot of people that are against solar energy.
I know,
They come to the county. Asking us for,
Two people.
yeah, well, they came.
and the person who got up and spoke to you did not tell the truth, that woman, except that Jesus does care about us. Other than that, she said nothing else. That
Who cares?
Jesus.
Oh, sure does.
She told us all, and Jesus is with you all.
That's good. That's a good thing.
Okay, so FYI.
Yeah,
details.
So that was good that we found that out, because I was concerned for other projects too. You never know what we get into. And just one more, the property up there wouldn't be visible from anybody.
25 acres.
Yeah,
It was pretty-
yeah, and it's tucked in the middle. Oh, and we looked, because originally our plans with O'Brien and Gear, when we first acquired that property, was to put a road and everything all back there. How big, I don't understand, the culvert thing, how much would that cost? Millions, right? To build like a bridge, what do we build it to land that we don't have infrastructure back there? Didn't make sense.
Okay, item 15, Skyler Business Park, there's an update here, but we had discussions with
Well, we're just looking at a traffic study.
DOT.
So, Jimmy, so in here, Delta sent this over. We really need to do a deeper dive because of all the activity in the Skylar Business Park. So we reached out to Delta, who's been our engineer on everything for that park. And it clearly outlines what we're looking to do there. If we do find some of it's not needed or everything, the pricing will be adjusted. And also a lot of, we definitely do need to do an actual count again and do some other models and simulations there, some more measurements, some more surveying. But I have to be honest, I don't think it'll hit the amount that's requested on here. However, I do think that we should move ahead with this just to keep everything in the park moving ahead. And we'll talk about some other opportunities in the park because it is negotiations in the executive session.
So no, yeah, we have moved on. Motion on that. Any other comments before we entertain a motion? I'll entertain a motion. Mike, second by Ann. Discussion further. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Water study.
So what we're doing there right now with Delta, we keep checking the pressures and making sure that we're good as far as usable water, but we understand that because of the size of some of the buildings and opportunities in there, we're going to need some fire suppression tanks. Look at everything possible to move ahead with that. I do not have any pricing today on that. And I'm not sure. We're updating and looking at some new hydraulic modeling for the site as well. So there might be an opportunity within before our next meeting that I request approval on moving ahead with something, and I'll let you all know. Just wanted to get you up to date on that. And water will be discussed as part of our negotiations with projects in the park, so we can talk a little bit more in depth. But I will be reaching out most likely to ask for some additional funding for that, but there's no funding.
16, EDF renewables, roads, pages 33 through 34.
Oh, we can kind of jump. We moved it a little bit. Yeah, I'm sorry. My fault. So on the line, we do have a representative from EDF if there are some questions. They're looking at putting a 5 megawatt community solar project in the old landfill on Route 5S. And I was asked by the town planning board if the solar panels would blind them while they're driving down 5S, and just so everybody knows that will not. So we did receive an application from them. Some of the blanks still need to be filled in, but I would like to recommend that for our attorney's approval, that we vote to support the project.
Questions?
It's not unlike any other one that we're doing right now for solar.
So there's no problem putting the.
In fact, there's incentives to do that. Yeah.
And who currently owns the
Waste management owns the facility. So they'll work a land lease with them if they haven't already. They've got, to get to us, they've already gotten approvals from National Grid and NYSERDA. So now it's just a question on moving ahead and supporting the application.
Questions?
The draft application.
Yeah.
And there'll eventually be a final one.
There will be, which will have the approval of our attorney.
Need a motion to, Mike, and by John, discussion.
No, I was gonna invite Mike, with the Swoko landfill, we have a cookout once a year, so there are other uses for landfills.
We close when we done.
I thought,
Well, we believe Jimmy Hopkins.
Hold on, Dave, you did second. All in favor, aye. I'm sorry, roll call. please.
Okay, Albert, Maslow,
Yes.
Dave, Gurecki. Serrano,
Yes.
Warnzak.
Yep.
And Bono.
Yes. Yes. Let's go to, thank you, Kathleen. I'm waiting so patiently on the phone for us. All right, item 17, Village of Newport sewer study, pages 30 to 32.
So at our last meeting, we did discuss this. I did have someone talk to DEC in reference to, is this something that should be or could be looked at? They did find out it could be looked at. DEC was not going to make any special provisions because it was a village. However, they thought the information would needed to be done in a study to approve it. So I've had conversations with LaBerge since. I haven't talked to the mayor at all. However, these are one of the types of studies that we can pay for as an IDA. This will help their downtown with economic development and also possibly support some housing as well.
Questions? 20,000.
Yeah. And I'll have more discussions before we move it, but that'll be at a not to exceeds number, and we'll have some other discussions that if it gets to a point, we won't do everything until we know for sure how we can move ahead and what we can best look at to model where the septic would go and make sure that whoever would run the system, because it would be more of like a community system, who would run it, and that they would be responsible, the town, the village of Newport would be responsible.
Entertain motions. And second by John Spano, discussion. All in favor, aye. Any opposed? Nay? Resolution. Actually, carries. Item 18, the former Chips gas station. The former Chips gas station. Item 18.
Sorry.
Well, I'm going to defer once again to our attorney.
Yeah.
Only because I tell you, he's right on track with all of this stuff today, and I want to keep him going.
thank you. At the last meeting, I was asked to give an opinion regarding the remediation of the Chips gas station area. And the question that was presented was whether or not we could form a corporation for purposes of taking title to remediate it, which would resolve the agency of liability. Unfortunately, I discovered that's been tried. The agency does not have the ability to form a third party entities that it goes to remediate. But I suggested to Mr. Pizek that there was another way to accomplish the same goal. Probably a little bit less cost, and that would be to approach the same landowner who would have to give us a deed for a $1 lease to allow us to lease option the property. Under the lease, we could remediate the property, and then once it's remediated, we could decide if we would take title, but my suggestion would probably be to make the option assignable. Once we remediate the property, go directly to the municipality.
Since this is kind of negotiations, so we'll move this to executive session too.
I mean, could, I don't know if we're in the negotiating stage, but it's still we do it.
Okay, I'm worried about the lease amount and that.
The notes, yeah.
It's up to you. I'm not sure.
We can talk about the rest of this in executive session.
I just think so. Because there's yeah, and there's a couple other things. Okay.
All right, we have two items then. Item 10 and 18. What do you want to give us our what this and
Yeah, we're not sure who that other one
it's
is.
Mr. Holland, I believe that he's in fact, I believe that's his phone. Mr. Holland, is that you on the phone?
You can see.
That's his phone.
So project updates, water transmission line. Still in contact with everybody there, the water authority, working out some other, once again, some hydraulic modeling, making sure everything's gonna flow. Say that. Thank you, John, for laughing at that. So that's still status quo right now. Dual pole site, as Aaron brought up, we had Senator Schumer there. Very good meeting with him. Wanted to bring him up to the roof. Jimmy even offered to carry him. He just couldn't do it that day. He would have, pointed right at you. But it worked out well. Anytime we get someone with, able to sign off on that much assistance, it's always a good thing. Tomorrow, we're having one of our final meetings on the Village of Dollarville BOA. It's in the morning at the health center next to the high school. It's from what, 10 to 12? Everybody here is welcome as well. We're gonna have a couple developers there. We're gonna ask them questions on their thoughts of the drawings and everything. So we thought that was a great opportunity. We're also gonna have Jeff Grace there, who took over the old mill. He's been very supportive of everything we do there. This week, and stop me if anybody has questions. So the BOA grant is close to us submitting. Pardon? No, I'm stopped. What did you say? We also met with Oneida Herkimer Solid Waste Authority this week with Bill Rabia. Excellent meeting as well, taught us a lot. We brought him to a site or two in the Village of Herkimer. They're willing to help out too. I don't know if we're at that point yet, but we can utilize them as well for other things. Columbia Solar Project, there has been no update. We had a final outline for people, the communities that wanted to respond with some questions or comments. Our attorney on that project has been in touch with the attorney for the town. They were supposed to submit something, they did not. EDF is the same company down there doing that. They have some other, they're still working through a lot, but they have over 3,000 acres ready to go. So it's moving ahead and it's got all the approvals. The IDA Academy, Alana is going to be there that day. If any of you other would like to attend, you really need to let us know. What that does is helps with your class. You take the class, you sit in that day. That there's a part of it is that it helps you achieve that numbers you need to be for 3 years. Also, we have some interesting speakers in the afternoon.
Right.
So I'm one of them. And we have a lot of good, it's a good opportunity to support our area, for them to have this here. It's a big thing, and we're very happy that they're doing it. And as you can, if you do look at the registration form, which we'll gladly register you, just let us know. You'll see that a lot of sponsorships for it too from all around, and we anticipate a good day. That Liz, I can't figure, I don't even know if her name is Liz, but the woman who used to be on Capitol tonight is one of the. I can't think of her name right now, but she's one of the moderators, so that should be very interesting as well. Another thing that we are looking at, well, one other thing I want to tell you, I finally got a hold of Bernie Bus. And the individuals are new, some of the older people have left, but they thought that the bus already ran through Skyline. And sometimes they said things changed without their full knowledge. So we're gonna have another conversation at the end of the week, but they're not opposed to going to the Skylar Business Park, or at least up to Dyke Road, and turning around and coming that way down and then going over to Frankfurt. So we're gonna have another conversation on that. And then one other thing we've been thinking about doing is doing some kind of speaker series at the college. Maybe every other month, get in some motivational type speakers, maybe some more older sports individuals, maybe Wayne Levy, maybe Aaron Hamlin, different people like that come in and bring a positive note. Nothing political, nothing religious, just things that can, that can really tie into what we're doing now with all the growth in our area. So, and at first, we'll probably sponsor maybe the first one, but then look towards sponsors for the rest of them as well.
Anybody, on the comments? So we have 4 legislators here. You on the phone?
The things that the Dodge Road Manhunt project, everything is moving forward.
We will discuss that in executive session.
You knew that, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering.
I got a question.
Executive session.
No, unless the phone number says who they are.
It's-
that's wrong.
It's,
Why
Bob,
did we-
Hallam, can you confirm it's you, the 4872 number? Bob, wake up, Bob.
Well, I don't mind it,
That's
but
it, I do.
He wants to stay there.
yeah. Text him and say, why aren't you replying?
Just think.
Does he think you should have? Can you say that?
Oh, there he is.
Bob Hallam, are you there?
I didn't know how to mute. So sorry, I'm watching. Stop. What was the question?
All right, need a motion to go into executive session to talk about those 2 items, number 10 and 18. Vote for executive. And second by Mike, second, any discussion? All in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay. We are in executive session. What time?
There he goes.